There's a lot of times in business where it actually comes down to just fundamentally just blocking and tackling.
Yes.
If you can block and tackle, that's part of the game.
Thank you so much for being on the show today, you guys. Will you introduce yourselves real quick for our listeners?
Yes, my name is Desmond Clark, former Chicago Bear and now Chief Leadership Officer of Bear Down Logistics.
Hi, and good afternoon. My name is Mike Natale. I'm the global platform leader for Ingredion. We are a publicly traded company. We have about $8 billion in revenue on an annualized basis, and very excited to be with you today.
So thanks for joining me, both you guys. I'm really excited about this conversation and really think we could talk for hours, like Mike was saying, on this topic. So, but want to talk about how sports really apply the analogies that apply to business. I think there's a lot there that could be really interesting for our listeners.
Great.
So thanks for coming.
Great, Laurette. So I'll jump right in.
Go right ahead.
Since we had this discussion a little bit on the phone on this great parallel between sports and business, and it's awesome, obviously, to have Desmond Clark with us as well, because I think he can speak from the professional side of
I think he's
sports.
got a little experience there.
He's got some experience there. So, I'm sure we'll get some really good insights there. But, for your viewers and listeners, my name is Mike Natale. Me and Laurette have worked in similar industries, the food ingredient industry, for many years. We grew up in it. Yeah. And so, and we have a lot of interesting parallels as let's say competitors in that space. But I think ultimately I was telling Laurette earlier, I had a tremendous opportunity to work in sports in college. I was the head manager for the basketball team at DePaul University, and the parallels that we saw in that time, or I saw in that time, when the program was being built from a 3-28 team the year before I started into the next year, a team that got the number one recruiting class in the nation under Pat Kennedy. We saw some really interesting dynamics of what was being done. And early days, I can tell you, it came down to really 4 critical aspects of what that team was doing at that time. The coach realized he needed to build a new culture, and that culture was a culture prior, the Meyer culture, going into the Kennedy culture. He had to do some things different. He wanted to look at it different. We also then had to look at strategy, what we were going to do to strategize to win in a conference USA that was very strong at the time. We had to assess the talents, the people, and assess how we were going to train them around the strategy that we were working through. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, none of that works without tremendous communication.
Right.
And so those 4 aspects.
And trust.
If you look at business today, right? So the playing field, playing in baseball or playing in football, whatever it is, or the boardroom.
Right.
Those 4 critical aspects, and trust, and many others as well, winning and losing. How do you take that? All of those are so critical in how we grow in business. And I would also say, I have kids.
Right.
If you look at what's being emphasized in school today, sports is one of those ones where it's so critical.
Oh, it's huge.
It's so critical because they learn so much from this.
Oh my gosh, so much. I was thinking when you were talking culture, I think that is hugely important. And Des, I think I told you I have 5 boys and all of them have played football. So my youngest is 14, freshman, and he was on a Tri-City team. The coaches were just amazing. So we had to put our dog down. It was so sad. This was last summer. And I was texting the coach, Declan won't be at practice. And he's like, please bring him. I want the team to encircle him. Oh, I'm going to get teary-eyed. But that was like the most amazing thing, right? Like he said, doesn't have to dress, doesn't have to play, but we really want to support him. That team went on undefeated. The culture that this coach created and the support of each other, undefeated team, So I think that's so true in business too. What do you think? Let's pass it over to you a little bit.
Culture is one of those things that you can't touch it, feel it, but it's there whether you recognize it or not. And it's one of those things where if you don't have it, you can have the greatest individuals out there, but if you don't have a culture to bring it all together, you won't do well. And then you can have average people that's in a great culture, and that culture will uplift the collective um, of the people, even if they're not as talented as some other people. So I really do believe in culture. When I think about culture with our 2006 football team that went on to play in the Super Bowl, we weren't the most talented team. On defense, maybe we had a ton of talent on that team, but I don't think anybody went into that season saying, "Yeah, the Chicago Bears, they're one of the more talented teams in the NFL, so we expect them to get to the Super Bowl." I believe it was because of the culture that Lovie Smith built, and I believe that's one of the reasons that we really didn't have any awful seasons. We were always competitive. We didn't always make it to the playoffs, but we were never like 3-13 or anything like that. And if you look at those teams, you just see the culture taking place where game in and game out, we always fought hard. And I think that led to the results that you've seen in his tenure there with the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would always say, and I think it's a really a nice term when it comes to culture. You know, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? You can have the greatest strategy in the world, right? You bake up the best strategy. We're going to go do this. We're going to get this great talent, right? Go get the best talent in the world. You go get the best strategy in the world. You have some great communication. It's going to go a great culture, a great football culture, or a great baseball culture, or a great business culture.
Yeah.
Is going to eat anyone's strategy up for lunch because they're going to know how to come up with, when they lose, when the tough times are there, they're going to figure out ways to zig and zag
Hey,
to
let's
get
go
to success.
That's a good segue, Mike.
Yeah.
So I read that growth mindset book many years ago, and there was a concept in there that the best athletes are the ones that can shake it off, a bad play, shake off a lose, and I think it's so true. And I watch my youngest, he struggles with the shake it off. And his older brother is way better at the shake it off. And I think it's true in business, We don't win everything. We were talking about our hit rate is probably, 15%. So that means a lot of what we work on doesn't go to market. So what's your thoughts, Desmond, on that of, the concept of being able to lose and keep going? Like, I'm sure you've experienced that a ton in your career.
Absolutely. It just comes down to controlling the things that you can. Like once the game is over and you lost that game, that's it. There's nothing that you can do about that, right? So now you can't go back.
Except you probably have to watch a lot of tapes, and they probably you could have done that.
But that's going forward, right? You look back to go forward. You look back to correct all the things that you may not have executed on properly, and the reasons why you lost that game. But you're not trying to change the outcome of something that already happened, something that's no longer in your control anymore. You're looking back only to control the things that's ahead of you, the things that you can control now. So now you can execute on a higher level. You can execute better. One of the things that I like to talk about with my company, we don't have values. We have the process of greatness. What is the process of greatness? It's executing the details in excellence consistently over time. So those are our 5 things that we focus on. And over time, we just say celebrate growth that we have. We celebrate that, right? But everything else, hey, we want to win on execution. That's the first thing. And then we want to be very detailed, disciplined. And then, like I said, we build trust on consistency. And we have a commitment to excellence. And the same thing in sports. You got to win on execution. And if you don't execute as properly as you should, you go back and you understand, hey, what happened? Why didn't we do that? So in the next game or the next bid or the next opportunity you have to present to get business, you execute better.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's and this is for the kids that may listen to this, maybe they should fast forward through this. But if you think about it, and I think it's a great dynamics, I would always look at this phrase that the C students run the world
Oh,
I don't know if you guys have,
I've heard that
but,
the nerds rule the world, which I agree too.
The nerds definitely do, right? Especially with the tech area. But I would say that specifically the C students, I think when you look at grades, there's that process that Desmond's talking about, that process of greatness. The C's, if you're getting the C's and the B's and hopefully the A's, that it's progressive. But sometimes those A students that all they know how to do is get those A's, the first C that they get, it
crushes them.
It crushes them. It knocks them off.
Totally. Did you read this book? It's the growth mindset book too. It talks about you don't want to hire the valedictorians.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to fail and they have a really hard time, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You really do want the ones that know how to fail and look at it and be okay with it and learn from it. That's what you're looking for. And I totally agree. Yeah. I would hire an athlete over anything. I'm not even kidding. I'm not saying this just to butter you up. But watching, my son played for Ball State. I mentioned to you, he was a tight end too. So he's a huge fan. So he's going to be like loving this. But watching his work ethic, whew, oh my. I mean, not a day off. Have to make so many sacrifices and such team loyalty, really understanding that whole team concept. And you don't see a lot of athletes. I don't know if you see a lot of resumes with athletes on it, but
no, not so much.
Nothing like your caliber.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's funny because probably Desmond's got a perspective on this as well, and it probably comes back to how coaches are picking players. But I saw it firsthand for our coaches, and then I see it today, how I hire. You don't necessarily hire based off of the best talent.
Right.
Potential? In regards, for me, I always hire based off of the attitude.
Yeah.
So if that person has that right attitude, if they have that attitude of I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to figure out a way, I'm going to take the steps necessary to drive towards this process of greatness. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people because I can train the other stuff. I can teach the other stuff. The degree of greatness on the level of college and professional, it's not that far off. But it's that attitude, I think, of these guys that take it to that next level, and it's no different than business.
Right.
The degree of difference of really great in business and okay is that attitude. I'm going to figure out a way to make this thing happen, and I'm going to progress forward and not detract.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And I look for athletes too. If you play sports, you already are. you made the first cut, to use another analogy from sports. But even like myself, people just assume, hey, this guy must have been naturally talented and gifted to play 12 years in NFL. And I always send people right back and say, go look at Desmond Clark combine stats. And as you scroll down, you're going to see a big fat F. I failed the combine. And no, go look at it. A 37 out of 100 was my score. 36 out of 100. I was slow. I ran a 4.88 40. I was weak. I only benched 225 12 times, which people in high school can do that. And I'm applying for a professional job to play against grown men that's bigger than me. And I was small. I was only 252 pounds, and they didn't even give me my full 6'3". They gave me 6'2" and 7/8.
That's funny.
You don't remember any of this, huh? None of this stuck with you at all, right?
But of course not. The thing is, they can't measure heart. They can't measure just that internal burn to want to do things the right way and to come out and I want to know how good I can be. I don't care how good you think I could be. I want to know how good I can be for myself. Can I actually go and continue to improve and actually make this work? I mean, that's one of the challenges that I have for myself with my new company. I want to see, can I build $100 million in revenue company? And it's not can I, it's will I?
Maybe it's and when. That's it.
And I know I'm gonna face some challenges. I know and I've already faced a bunch of stuff that I was like, well, shit, this is gonna be a challenge for me to get through. But I was just telling one of my employees today, I was like, I'm proud of myself that in just a few months I've kind of learned all of this accounting stuff to the business side of this, which I came in having no clue about. And that first month, I was pulling my hair out.
That must have been difficult.
Yeah, but 3 months later, I got the hang of it now. And it's just being willing to sacrifice and being willing to put in the work and being willing to say, all right, I'm not good at this moment. Yeah, it's kicking my ass right now, but I know that I do have the ability to learn. I do have the ability to progress daily, and I'm not worried about where, Jane and Jim is at. I'm worried about where I'm at in this progression and just focusing on getting incrementally better each day. And I
I
think
think, Des, you gotta be sure to surround yourself with people that are really good at that kind of stuff. Like I have a CFO. I could never do the accounting. It's like, know your strength. I understand you have to understand it for sure. I get where you're going, but I think that's the most important thing is knowing where we need support. I was thinking,
and how and
so
before you move on, how you think
oh
I
sure,
learned it? Because I was
right,
calling on people like, dude, I have no clue.
yep.
Me through this. And then I did hire an accountant. Dude, like this stuff is killing me. I need some help. And I got coached through it. And now, I'm not gonna do that day to day, but I have to understand it for my business. But you're absolutely right. I had two key people, somebody in my industry and somebody who is proficient in accounting. Those two people helped me understand my own numbers.
I think you'd be really good in sales, I mean, people are just going to want to meet you. And I think you got to use your energy there and have your team behind you supporting that. And I was thinking about, I kind of always use this analogy because one of my 16-year-old plays the O-line. And the one that played at Ball State, he was kind of big and chubby. And all my kids are like, most of them are like 6'5". But anyway, so he played O-line and then he played tight end. And he was adamant to play tight end when he went to college. But he had respect for the O-line because he had played it before. And it's like the people that support us and don't get any accolades really, I mean, that O-line is like so crucially important. So my 16-year-old who's playing it now, sophomore playing varsity, which I'm so proud of him. 7-1 is the record. They have a game, last game tomorrow night against Batavia. It's a big one. And Batavia's same record.
Is it pretty good? Are they good?
Yeah. Yeah, Batavia's always good. But I just think that's like the people that support us in business that don't get the accolades, Sales always gets, they get beat up too, but they're like the quarterback. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, recognition in sports, recognition in business, they work hand in hand a little bit. There's probably some areas in sports, like the offensive line, that gets a little bit less recognition than maybe the quarterback or the receiver.
I think of our operations team, like the people in our companies that are literally making the product every day in their whites, lift in my business, it's a lot of manual lifting, and I try to go out of my way because without them, I'm nothing. It's like.
But that's again back to culture, right?
Right, it is culture.
There's a lot of times in business where it actually comes down to just fundamentally just blocking and tackling.
Yes.
If you can block and tackle, that's part of the game, right? So you need some of that stuff. And then you need some guy that can be really talented and throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
You need a guy that can catch it. You need a guy, a specialist, counting, that can come in and kick a ball 60 yards through a field goal. I mean,
Absolutely.
so there's all this stuff.
I'm sorry.
I
used to.
Or tell you when to punt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, tell you when to punt.
Yes,
right.
That is very important. So I used to play basketball, nothing like your guys' level at all, but I love basketball too. I love football, and those are my two favorite sports. But I love a basketball game where the passing is really fast because that's trust. They don't even look, and your guy's going to be there to catch.
Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Yes. Great team. But I think that that kind of applies too. It's like you got to know they got your back.
You do trust.
Yeah.
You said
Trust.
that. You said that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a critical aspect. And building trust is in sports and business. It takes a long time, right?
Yeah,
but it's one of those ones where you can lose it by doing something, a knucklehead move or some kind of bad idea.
I was getting hair and makeup done earlier, and we were talking. And so when I did play basketball in high school, my girlfriend, who used to play with me, but then she went to diving, and she was an amazing diver, got me tickets to Prince, Purple Rain.
Yeah.
I missed a game. I missed a basketball game for Purple Rain. Would you have done that?
No.
I shouldn't have done that.
So, but
I lost my starting position. I paid for that dearly.
So you have this. Well, you hit a transition that I wanted to talk about today, and I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could help.
Des, do you know who was playing at
of course.
your Super Bowl
That's why
for
it rained
halftime?
all the time.
Who was
That's why it
right? So
started raining.
you know that Prince
That's why
was
it started
playing.
raining.
Now this is the other part
I
of that
did
by that
not
Super Bowl.
know that.
That
That's
Super Bowl,
crazy.
it started raining. It started raining at basically around halftime when he started playing Purple Rain. It's no joke.
Oh,
no
I
joke.
got chills, you guys. Look at I got chills.
It
oh
didn't
my
stop
God.
after that either.
It didn't stop. It was the monsoon after that.
I blame Prince for all of the rain. And you know that's the only Super Bowl that it ever rained in, right?
This is in Florida. This is in Miami. It's a beautiful day. And
I did not know any of this. Wow, that is interesting.
We and then he starts playing, and all the lights are purple, and this rain is coming down.
That probably looked really cool.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
And you know, in the wintertime in Florida, it doesn't rain that often.
Wow.
So I don't know what he did to summon the rain gods, but I'm still upset.
Who was he rooting for? Anybody know who he was rooting for? Did he ever say?
Well, I think he's from Minnesota, so I think he was probably rooting against us.
That's what I would imagine. So I'm a big, some people call me a good witch. I think I can change the weather sometimes, even with candles. I do some, but I believe in signs like that. I think that there is power in manifesting whatever it is.
Well, he did manifest rain that day. So I don't know if it helped us. I don't think it did.
It didn't help us at all.
Yeah.
Well, and I shouldn't have gone to his concert because that really didn't help me either. But I'm kind of glad I went.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have.
But I think that you make decisions like that, and back to leadership of my basketball coach. Going, you made that decision. Now you got to lie in that bed. And it was true.
Yeah. So you see great leadership in sports.
Totally.
You see some terrible leadership in sports, right? And same with business.
Yeah.
And you see this stuff. And
it sets the tone for everything, right? I mean, it's our jobs too. Yours too, as leaders of businesses, we set the tone.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. When I started my business, I knew nothing about the business. I studied it for maybe 6 months, a little over 6 months, probably like 8 months before I actually started it, but no experience at all. But after studying it, and having a few people mentor me on the business, the reason why I went forward with it is I felt like I'm a good enough leader to be able to be successful in the business. Because if I only went on my knowledge of the business and went on my experience of being in the business, I would have never started the business. I'm still learning to this day, but I've hired a couple good people. They teach me a lot of things about the business, but I think
that's a really good point. It's like I always say that even with Ed Long, I love flavors. I love our food industry, but it's a platform. It's not really about the flavors. It's about creating a business and an environment and a place where a culture where people can shine and thrive. It could be any business. So I think that's wise. Look, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but being the leader is the key.
Well, look at a simple analogy in high school, sports, right? Who do people get behind? They get behind somebody that's going to take a decision and move, whether it's the team or the community. They're gonna come close to that, right? And I think it's the same as Des is talking about. I mean, he's going to attract people to want to be with him, and that's what I try to do is attract the right people with the right attitude to want to work with me. Work with me to for success. It doesn't always come back to monetary.
No,
it's really it's a part of it.
It's
money has to be there,
love
but it has to be excitement. It has to be I want to work with this person, or I want to work on this purpose. A purpose driven.
Purpose is huge.
It's huge. I want to do that.
And talking about purpose, another reason why I wanted to get out, because I've had positions of leadership. And I've owned a couple companies before when I was playing ball, and of course all of them failed because I'm playing football and wasn't.
It's kind of hard to multitask. That's a lot.
And I think talking about failing and coming back, I thought it was the right time for me to get out and do something totally on my own. And and I have the confidence that I could be successful and not working up under another person's banner. But when you talk about that purpose, one of the things that I thought about before even hiring anybody is like, what's in it for them? What's going to be in it for them? Okay, they can go anywhere and have a job. They can go anywhere and get a salary. But I said, hey, I want to build a company to a certain level. And for me to do that, I have to have really good people to help me do that. So I came to the determination that anybody who set foot into this business and helps me drive this business to where I ultimately want to go, I think they deserve equity in the business because they become partners, right? So as I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the purpose of why I want to do this, I thought about our system of our capitalist system. And I was like, how about I use this capitalist system to create an opportunity for other people to come in and share in what they actually helped to build. And that became the purpose inside of the company for the employees that work. Hey, you're not just working here. You become a partner at a certain level. When you put in enough sweat equity and you drive enough revenue, now you get to share in the company profits and become an equity partner, which I feel like now they have ownership, they have equity, and it kind of stemmed from society, right? Also for me, because you hear about social equity, well, you hear about equality, and now it turned to not just equality but also equity. So let's turn one of the societal issues, turn it around and make that a purpose for why I'm in business. I want to have equitable. I want to give people a equitable percentage of what they actually put into this business as a purpose for coming to work every day.
Yeah, I think it's just thinking a little bit more about the societal part of it as well, and I think it's wonderful how you're shaping your business to be, Des. But I would say, just coming back to this whole sports idea as well. If you look at society and how it does impact society, think about this just from a junior high to high school level, where kids are learning to develop who they are, what they're going to be, how they're going to act. All of these things are in many ways, they may not sometimes be getting this from home. Probably not.
Right.
So a coach, a leader, teammates.
I'm a single mom.
A single mom.
I feel so grateful to all the coaches that have affected my kids in a great way.
Yeah.
I've given them discipline, it's hard to be both the mom and the dad, and they've made huge influences on my kids. So I agree. I think they get a lot from that. And
if you look at how do we set things for the future, I think sports, because if you can do sports, Des says he hires based off of people that have that background. If you can do that, you can transition into business and you probably will be very successful.
Because you get the team thing. That's the most important thing. You get the team thing, that it's not about me. It's about us, right? I mean,
you learn discipline, right?
Yeah.
How about the discipline of showing up every day? I mean, how important is that? Just the consistency of showing up in business.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm thinking back to some of Garrett's stories when he was at Ball State, and one kid on the team would go out drinking and get caught, and the entire team had to roll. The entire team, because of one guy doing that. He had those burns on his elbows and on his knees from rolling in 80-degree, turf. But it's like that we're all in this together is the concept, really. And I love that concept. It makes you hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
If you're going to go do that, don't get caught because I don't want to roll.
Exactly. And I love that concept. We're all in this together, right? And that's what I think good companies are able to usher into a culture. We're all in this together. Nobody's in a silo. Your job is important, just like the next person's job is important. And going back to sports, one of the things that I talk about when I'm on stage and speaking is, when a football team wins a championship, like the quarterback gets paid more than the kicker, right? We understand that because that person's job has more responsibility. And with responsibility, you should get compensated better. So we understand that part. But as that team goes into the playoffs, you know, I love how the NFL does it. There's no more salary. There's just bonuses at that point. But everybody bonus is exactly the same once you get in the playoffs. And if that team wins the championship, they don't say that Tom Brady gets a bigger ring than the 52nd man on the roster. They all get the same size rings, right? So the salary part, yes, because we have different responsibility. But as you get into that overtime, once you get into that bonus time, hey, everybody gets the same cut because we can't say that, oh, everybody's job is important and we do this as a team, but then, you know, only reward the few more than we reward the whole when it comes to those extra efforts in getting into the playoffs and hitting our company goals. There has to be some type of
Yeah, I love that. I think you're talking more almost profit sharing when you back to the business concept. So we do profit sharing and that at that point it is, I guess it's not 100% equal because it's a percentage, but you can't mess with that. Like there's laws and rules around it that it's the same for everybody. And I like that. I mean, that means we all got the profit. So my dad was a big believer on this. One year I had an accountant that went wrong and thought we had profits that we didn't have. And he had to pay for it out of his own pocket, you know, because he promised the people that. And he was huge on profit sharing. And I like that. Try to carry that on too.
I think that just makes people, it backs up the talk, right? We could talk about it all day, but if you don't execute on it, first of all, you're going to lose credibility and lose trust because you build trust with consistency. And if you have consistency in your word and in your actions, now you build that trust. But now it makes people buy in even more when they say, okay, this is what they said, this is what they did. Same thing on the football field with the coaches. Hey, if you win on Sunday, we have Monday off. But just because we won on the last second field goal and we played like crap, you can't come back and tell us we got to come in on Monday. We won the game.
We earned Monday off. Yes.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, that to me, it comes back to on both sides, right? Like, so the risk, right? So you're talking about people that are going to come in and they're going to maybe take a little bit more risk with you, maybe because the upside, future upside, is that they're actually going to be an equity partner in the business. Mm-hmm. So they're saying, maybe I'll take a little bit less money, or maybe the same, but I want to be there because of that. And it's the same on the field, right? There's guys that are saying, hey, I'm going to put more in. I'm going to be in the gym more. I'm going to do more, right? Because the opportunity is that this team, we have the right culture, we have the right people, we're going to go win. Mm-hmm. And winning means incentives. Right. So I think it's a really cool, that incentive risk dialogue is one that...
And it means they believe in themselves too.
Oh, yeah.
If you hire someone that's going to take the variable income, that means they're betting on themselves and they're like, I can do this. So I like that.
Yeah, and that's the type of person that I want because I am going to ask for them to take a little bit less on the front end because I'm going to give you substantially more on the back end. Right. So, yes, I want that person that says, you know what? Oh, man, in 6 months, I can see where I'll make all of that up plus more. And I want more on the back end than on the front end because I believe in myself, I believe in my abilities, and I believe those are like the A-list talent type of people that I want. And it may not be talent, it may be more grit than it is talent, but I want those gritty people that say, you know what, I'll get this done. And when I do get it done, here's the payday right now.
So what do you see next for you, Des? I mean, I get the logistics company, but like, tell us a little more about what's next.
I think next for me, I'm definitely going to get back out on the speaking circuit once I get the company to, you know, kind of operate on its own.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, that's where you are right now.
It's a little exhausting sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
But I think use your experience and your name, you know, and help other people. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. And that's a passion of mine, that I love to do. And then, I'm just looking forward to bringing people into this organization and making people as successful as they can be, maybe more successful than they thought that they can be, just with the help, the training, and as you said, this is a platform. This
Right.
is a platform that people can come in and say, you know what, I just don't want to be on a salary and commission the rest of my life. I can actually help build something that I could share in the equity in. And who knows, in 5, 10 years from now, hey, who said that we can't be a 9, 10 figure company and somebody comes and buy us out, and now those people who took that opportunity
Right.
and to say, you know what, I'm gonna bet on not only myself, but this guy who I believe in to help me make some dreams come true, which wouldn't be there otherwise. That gets me up in the morning. That keeps me going. That
Yeah.
keeps me thinking. That keeps me reading. That keeps me kind of intellectually curious about, hey, what can be done? How can I put this together? What's the next phase of this so we can get to that ultimate goal that I can have 20 teams of logistics brokers, and at the end of the day they look back at me and say, you know what, you put us in position to make our family dreams come true.
I love
That's
that.
the ultimate
That's
goal.
it.
Yeah, yeah, and I want to hit on one last point that just sparks this idea with what Des is saying. If you look at what Des is talking about, that vision, right?
Right.
He's talking about that future vision, and for me, any great leader, any great coach, any great team member, they're going to have that vision. Not only are we going to win next week, we're going to win the following, and we're going to do this, that, and the other. Business, it's so critical to have that vision and bring people in on that
Right.
vision, right? Because they may not have the vision, they may not see it that way, but if you can bring them in, get them excited on that vision, I mean, nine,
Totally.
10 figure company that eventually we can be sold out on, people start crunching those numbers. They
Right.
see this is interesting. This is
And
interesting. So,
equity in it.
I think
Skin in the
it's
game.
what vision as well. This can't be underestimated. So
I love
important.
that.
And Mike, and here's the other thing too. One of the questions that I asked, I I won't hire anybody that can't. They may not have the vision when I first ask them about it, but if they can't come back to me in a second or third interview and articulate a vision that they have, I probably won't hire them. And here's the reason why I asked the question to everybody who I hire or will hire. Hey, what do you see yourself in 1, 3, 5 years? Because I want to understand what is their vision for themselves and or their families. Because I feel like that's very important for me, because if their vision is a vision that I can incorporate into this overall vision that I have for this company, now I have a good teammate. Now we can help each other reach each other's visions, right? But if I don't know if I can help you reach your vision, I don't know if I'm gonna be helpful to you. So I need to understand that. I need to know that. I had one guy who I think he was getting frustrated with me because he kept saying, "Hey," I said, "So what do you want from this opportunity?" "Oh, I just want a better life." And I was like, "So what's a better life?" And he kept with all these generalities. And I finally said, I sat up and I got really, really, really serious. I said, "Look," say, dude, you have to give me some specifics. I don't want generalities. I want specifics. I want to know where you want to be in a year. I want to know where you want to be in 3 years. I want to know exactly where you want to be in 5 years. And you know what? I guess he felt my energy, and he took off all his clothes in a metaphorical way.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
He really got naked with me about the real reasons that he wanted to come and work here as opposed to working to the big company that he was working with.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I
trust,
think he almost teared up.
Vulnerability.
vulnerability. Yeah,
Vulnerability.
Yeah, he teared up, and he really got vulnerable with me about the opportunity that he was seeking, and it had so much to do with his family dynamics. And at the end of it, I was like, that's what I need to know. I need to know, how am I going to be able to help you reach your vision and your dreams? And I need to make sure that I'm able to do that, because if I'm not able to do that, this is just going to be a job. And I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a job to you.
I think that's like, becoming the leader they deserve type of thing,
Yeah.
leading how they need you to lead. I think that's beautiful. And I guess speaking of vision, this is our final question, you guys. So what's the vision of the legacy that you want to leave behind?
It's simple. And I work with my kids on this. They're young. I got a stepson that's 24. I got 19-year-old twins. I got my son who's 11. And all of them can be knuckleheads at times. My girls. But when I'm gone, I want my kids to be able to say, you know what, my father was a really, really good dude. My father did whatever that was in his power, whatever resources that he had, to help make other people's lives better in multiple ways. And he left something behind that is still here to help make people's lives better. And one day, they're kids. One day, I want them to actually, and you know what, they got to live their own lives. But one day, I I hope I set that example, that they ultimately say, you know what, one day I want to be like my father and develop ways that I can make myself successful, but at the same time, help other people grow and be successful at the same time. And if I'm able to do that, you know what, I can die and just say, you know what, I did what I tried to set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
Enrich the lives of those we touch. I love that. And I'm sure you've definitely enriched a lot of lives. Probably hurt a few guys too, maybe once in a while, but
They were trying to hurt me first.
exactly. Defending yourself.
Exactly.
How about you?
I think Des said it well. I mean, I would just say that, I've been so blessed with the legacy of my parents, and so I think about my father and my mother, and the lives that they've lived and what they've been able to give to me.
Right.
And my legacy now is being able to do the same thing for my kids, so that they can live a productive life and help others. I think that ultimately, you talked about your family business, and I come from my family business, and that business's purpose was actually to feed the world.
Yeah, I love that.
That was their purpose.
I say that one
to-
up, and I must steal it from you guys. But yeah, I mean, being in our industry, there's a lot to that, like nourishing people and feed the world. Yeah,
feed the world, and that was a division that my grandfather wanted to do every day. He wanted to figure out ways to produce food to help feed the world. And so I think that I'm a little bit living of that legacy even still today with the industry that I'm in. And I think that ultimately my kids, whether that's their purpose or not, that's not my intention. But I hope that they can have a legacy that ultimately delivers a lot of really good and kindness to our world. We need it. We absolutely need it. It's critical, even more so now than ever. So that's my legacy, to be able to do what my parents have been able to do for me.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. And make it your own.
Make it my. Look at that.
Look at that.
Own your own legacy. Right?
Yeah, look at that.
There you
Where'd
go.
that come from?
Yeah,
I had to throw
owning
that
your
in
legacy.
there.
Right.
So Laurette, what's yours? What's that? What's your
God. That's
legacy?
interesting. I think similar to what Mike's saying, this whole thing kind of started because I found from Sarah Victory, who we both know. Sarah Victory is a speaking coach, and she helped Desmond too. I kept writing a script for like an all-company forum, and she kept sending it back to me going, "You're giving it all to your father." And she'd be like, "Nope, nope, nope." And she's like, "You got to own this." Like, he passed away in 2007, but when it's a family business, it's really interesting how you constantly feel like you have to honor the memory, which I do. I honestly do honor the memory. But she's like, "Look what you've done in the last, 12 years or whatever." So it was eye-opening. And that's really kind of how this came to be, of now it's mine, and it's mine to do what I need to do with it. And I can almost hear him in my ear going, "You go, girl, it's time." So So my legacy really is, I think it might have something to do with the food industry. I mean, it's still evolving, but what can we do as leaders in this industry? FEMA comes to mind, to really elevate this industry. Food heroes.
Food heroes.
Came up yesterday. But I also just love having the platform of Ed Long, and to be able to enrich the lives of those we touch is our mission. That's our statement. And to create a place where people can come to work every day, not have the Sunday dread, enjoy their job, enjoy each other, and, hit goals along the way, of course, too, but be their best selves and really authentically belong to a community. So that's what I try to create. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate both of you being here. This was awesome. I think this was a really good conversation, and I think our listeners are going to love it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks.
Have a
Thanks.
great day.
Best of luck.
Bye.
Hey.